G'day and welcome back to the channel. I made a video at the end of 2016 for the New Year's of 2017 about some milestones that I'd left behind just to see where I was in entertainment at that particular time. Now we're coming into the New Year's of 2019. We're at the very end of 2018 and I want to see and look back and see if I did achieve any of those goals I set out and if I improved at all. Now with video games, I definitely know I did improve because my goal in the video that I saw was I wanted to finish 12 video games a year. I can safely say that I've finished 208 video games since making that video, and I gotta say, one of the hardest things about it was knowing that no matter how bad the game, you have to make the decision going in, am I going to finish this? So one of those decisions was with Skylanders, and a lot of help I received from playing with friends. For example, I would never have come to love Kingdom Hearts if not for a stupid bet or dare with my friend Jesse, where we wanted to see if we could go through all of the collection just to see how bad it was. Little did we know that we'd find ourselves eagerly awaiting Kingdom Hearts 3. Another thing is that I wanted to check where I was in anime. Once again, I don't think anything has supplanted Fist of the North Star as my favourite anime, but I've seen many other animes since that time, and I think that I've gotten a better all-round grasp and knowledge for it. I'm trying to go back and see the classics mainly. As I get older, I find that my taste in anime remains where it's hand-drawn. I have tried to delve into some of the CGI stuff recently, but it's just really not for me. That being said, maybe I will find something that, is great, and I think almost coincidentally, last time I made this sort of end-of-year update, I said that Berserk was an example of great animation and how I loved it as an anime, and now we have a CGI Berserk, which is not so great. But anyway, one of the other things I talked about was Tokusatsu. Now, I did end up finishing my goal of taking a look at all of Moonlight Mask or Moonlight Kamen, depending on what you want to say. And I really had fun with that. I really liked it, and it really helps me get into the mindset of like their progression point and how it all kind of got started. I really did like Moonlight Mask. Speaking of Kamen Rider, however, thanks to Kamen Rider Amazons, I kind of fell off the wagon. That's not to say that I don't love Kamen Rider. I definitely still do, and in fact, if we go over here, you can see that I still have a homemade Kamen Rider mug, just because I really do love it. But because of Amazons, I kind of lost my taste for it a bit, and I haven't gone back in since. So maybe in the future, we'll see how that kind of goes, and we'll see if the future will bring me more Tokusatsu goodness. When it comes to comic books, I can safely say that I do not hate Spider-Man anymore. Knowing a lot of people who do like Spider-Man and hearing their point of view, and generally there was a time where I was exposed and almost indoctrinated into Spider-Man, where Spider-Man on PlayStation 4 came out, and then I knew someone that had all the Spider-Man films, so they watched that while I was playing the video game, and I watched too. And during a whole month-long session, I kind of really got into the mindset of the character and understood, and then I found that Into the Spider-Verse to be one of my favorite comic book films of all time. So I think that I get Spider-Man. And while Peter Parker definitely isn't one of my favorites, and I won't even say that I like Spider-Man, I definitely do understand now why people do like him, and he's not all bad, and I think I was a little harsh on him last time. Now, pro wrestling is still pro wrestling. We've just entered into a so-called new era. The Vince McMahon and pretty much all the McMahon clan came out, and they were talking about how it's going to be a new era in wrestling. Whether or not, I'm not exactly sure. It might just be a promotional stunt, but we'll see. And I asked how WrestleMania was going to be. Well, I can tell you that the one in 2017 wasn't that great, but I did actually like this year's one. The WrestleMania had a Ronda Rousey Kurt Angle match, Charlotte versus Asuka, and believe it or not, they had Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, which past me probably won't believe when I tell them that Brock Lesnar is going to win again. But regardless of that, pro wrestling's doing pretty well, and I'm excited to see where it goes now that there's this new era, and there seems to be a lot more flavour in the pro wrestling than 2 years ago. There's a lot of talent that I wouldn't have considered being good that are certainly making their way at the moment. And as for novels, I've been doing a lot of reading recently. Jesse and I, sorry to name drop Jesse again, but we went through a vast majority of Elric of Melniboné. I've been reading more non-fiction books as well, history books and the like, but I won't bore people with that here. One of the things that I was pretty happy with is that of all the goals that I set out for myself, I pretty much accomplished all of them. So that showed me that even if it is a long-term sense, as long as you create some form of goal and you keep it in the back of your mind the whole time, then those New Year's resolutions do certainly seem to apply. So for myself, at the end of 2019, I'd like to come back on the very cusp of 2020. Man, that's going to be interesting. And I'd like to have the following goals for myself. I would like to finish at least 24 video games in 2019. I would like to watch more film in 2019, as I have really loved going back and taking a look at some of the classics recently, and film seems to be a new love of mine. Speaking of which, I would love to go and view some more television shows. Television seems to be in almost a renaissance, and there's so much good television here and there, and it's just so interspersed, and I always viewed it as a lesser medium, but I don't think that's the case anymore, so I'd like to check out more of that. In regards to comic books, I'd like to find something new, because since making that video, Invincible has ended, Fables has ended, and believe it or not, Hellboy is going to have a new movie soon. And while I still think that The Sandman is as great as I recommended it, I'm still looking for that next big thing. At the moment, for example, I'm just reading action comics and detective comics, so I'm hoping that I'll find some new big thing. In terms of anime, I think that I should really try and finish another long-running anime, because a lot of times these days I'll prefer those smaller sizes, but I think that there's something really to be gained when you have Inuyasha taught me that you can have a very long experience with characters, and because of that you'll really grow to understand the characters, and the story itself won't be as important as coming back and seeing how these personal relationships play out on a grand scale. And as long as there's some sort of running theme through it, I'm pretty much happy to try anything. I don't care about the genre. I say that, but if there was like a certain couple of genres there, I'd be hesitant, but maybe that should be a good segue into what I really want to do in 2019, which is challenge my own perceptions. So, if there's anything that I've learnt over the last couple of years, it's that my ideas and what I thought were my core beliefs seem to be quite malleable. For example, when we were talking about anime, I saw Cardcaptor Sakura once again on a whim, just trying to go back and say, well, what did I watch when I was a kid? Well, what was on television? And I just watched it and I was like, I'm not really sure about this. I mean, it's not exactly shonen or fighting. It's kind of going to be happy-go-lucky and very frilly. But I liked it. It was really light-hearted, and I've got nothing against it. Same with Kingdom Hearts. I'm not a big fan of Square Enix's designs, and I'm not a big fan of Disney, so you would have thought that when I decided to go with Jesse through these things, it was going to be this, laugh-at experience. And while we did laugh at a couple of the games, we found ourselves enjoying them after a time. So I would like to think that in 2019, I would like to challenge my own perceptions. Now, the three that I would be, coming into contact here, because there's a big umbrella, and that umbrella is named Disney. So I would really like to go through the three main things of Disney and try and see if you will give it a fair chance. So first up is Disney animation. I was never a real big fan of the Disney films or animation. I know some people would suggest that I didn't have a childhood in that regard, but I would like to look at it now with a older perspective, and maybe even just for the beautiful animation itself. I was talking about hand-drawn stuff before, and one of the things I did notice, because I saw Pinocchio for the first time in 2018, earlier this year, and I really loved it. It felt so warm and vibrant with the colors, and it was such a happy-go-lucky story, and even though it had some dark undertones, that's what made it even a little bit more appealing to me. And so what if there are more Disney animated films like that? So I think I should challenge my perception and watch some of those. With Kingdom Hearts just around the corner, there's no real better excuse than now to jump on in and see what's happening. That being said, the other umbrella, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm not a really big fan of Marvel, but there are a couple of characters here and there that I did like. And I had a discussion with two of my friends recently, really good guys, and they were talking about how one of their favorite things in film was when Thanos was on screen and he did his infamous click. Now, as someone who's read Marvel comics, I was like, yeah, that's what Thanos does. And they were saying that, no, you really have to see it on the big screen to, do it justice. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe I should go and try and catch up with the MCU and see what's happening. So I'll give that a go. And I stopped a long time ago, and it wasn't really for me, but who knows? I could find a new favorite film there. And lastly, as some of you may have guessed, under that big Disney umbrella is Star Wars. I was more of a Star Trek fan growing up, and I never really got into Star Wars, which isn't to say that I haven't seen Star Wars, and I am comfortable in saying that I thought that my favorite one's probably The Empire Strikes Back. The Empire Strikes Back it's just the one that has the most Star Wars feel to me. Like, there's the other films, but they're all just like strange, bizarre. I didn't really get into them. And so I think that if I went back and saw them from, the prequels to the originals to now the sequels and spin-offs, maybe it's time that I should really get in there and try and give it a second chance. And maybe I will find something that I really like there. Now, that's not to say that I will, but I would like to make 2019 the year of challenging myself, not only intellectually, but to just challenge my core beliefs and see, just go a little bit experimental out there, see what happens. So anyway, I'm going to probably be much more active in 2019, but I say that every year. But that being said, I hope that you guys had a great couple of years yourselves, and I'm eager to see when I come back to this video at some point how I did and what my goals were like, and maybe there were some things that I was thinking of here that I didn't even consider. And I'll really be interested to see if I liked Kingdom Hearts 3, how professional wrestling went, if I did find that new comic book I was looking for. And when I was speaking about music before, in fact, I completely forgot, but I found a new band, Ghost. I really liked their stuff, starting with Opus Eponymous, I believe is their first album. Really got into them in a big way, so I even found a newer metal band that I was really happy to get into, and I've just bought all their stuff recently. So it's been a really good couple of years, very life-changing and stuff like that, but even in terms of entertainment, I had a great time. And it'll be interesting to see if there's any other music that I come across, or maybe I'll come back and I'll say, hey, I like Star Wars, or I like these Disney films, or I'm a fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Who's to say? But until next time, guys, I'll catch you later.